Hey guys, how's it going? I just got back from fishing a doubleheader this weekend, so still feeling pretty tired. So just got back from fishing the BFL down at Percy Priest Lake in Tennessee. Ended up having a really good tournament Saturday. Down there, ended up getting 5th in the tournament, and went down Sunday to fish the jerkbait only tournament down at Lake of the Ozarks, and ended up getting 2nd place and lost by less than an ounce. So pretty good weekend overall, can't complain. Going down to Percy Priest down in Tennessee, never even fished the lake before. So to come out of there with a top 5 finish, just really satisfied at that. And I hadn't been on Lake of the Ozarks and I don't know, probably like a month and a half. So to get a 2nd place finish in a tournament down there, when I hadn't put any time in to practice or anything, felt pretty good. Felt pretty good to pull that off. But so first, I'm going to tell you guys how the BFL went down at Percy Priest Lake. Started off the day fishing a lot of like flats, just shallow areas. The guy that I was fishing with, he was fishing for smallmouth. We were fishing kind of smallmouth areas where you had, just a flat gravel bar that would come out into the lake. And I ended up catching, like the first spot we went to, I ended up catching a short largemouth, probably like a 14-incher. And actually caught a 17.5-inch smallmouth, which I had to let go. Down at Percy Priest, they have an 18-inch limit on smallmouth, and apparently there's some really big smallmouth in that lake, but it's hard to get those 18-inch fish, so that kind of sucked when I had to let that fish go. But we're going down this bank, and there's one dock on the bank, and the guy I was fishing with, he made a bunch of flips with a jig, up around this dock, and he was also throwing a crankbait around, and the wind was just blowing down the side of the dock. And so I said, man, if I was a fish, I'd be sitting there just suspended up under that dock. So what I did was I actually ended up throwing one of these Strike King 300 jerkbaits just down the side of the dock and giving it a couple good cracks. And one came out and ate it. Caught a 16-inch keeper. Just fishing this jerkbait. So that was fish number 1 in the tournament. And then we fished a bunch of spots like that, and didn't have any other luck. And got to be about noon or so. We've been fishing all these flat banks, and so we just started kind of brainstorming. I said, well, we've been fishing a lot of this flat stuff. I said, what if you find something with a flat where you got like a channel coming in? Because pretty much everywhere I've been going this time of the year fishing, the channel has been really crucial to catching the fish. I mean, those fish, they're wanting to relate to some kind of channel to where they could sit in that channel and then just move up out of that deeper water when they want to feed, because the weather's been so bad. It's been extremely cold here in the Midwest, and these bass, they've really been wanting have that option to go to that deeper water. And so, not knowing the spot, I was fishing as a non-boater. My boater said, well, I got a spot we could try or something. So we run on down the lake, and we pull up on the spot. And what it is, it's like a flat that comes out and then just literally drops right into the main river channel. So it's almost like a ledge. It is a ledge. It's like fishing, Kentucky Lake or something, where you have this, 6-foot long flat, gradual flat, where it just falls right off. And this spot, he says, it's a really good spot in the summertime. So we pull up on this ledge, and it's about 6 foot deep out there. So I reach for a crankbait, and about the 3rd cast I make out there, I catch a giant. I catch a 6-pound, 10-ounce bass, which actually didn't even end up being the biggest fish of the tournament. It was 6 pounds, 10 ounces, but actually another co-angler weighed in a bass that went 6 pounds, 14 ounces. So I lost big bass in that tournament by 4 ounces, which kind of sucks because, it's not too often that you catch, fish like that. So, anyways, so ended up catching that fish, 2nd fish of the, second fish of the day, and I was super pumped because, I only had one fish at about noon when that happened. And so that fish really got me back into the tournament, got me feeling really good. And so we went down this ledge and just started going down the ledge. And, I was kind of talking, I was talking to my boater. I said, well, I think we need to go back over to, where I caught that big one. I said, there's probably some more over there. So we go back over there, and he hooks up with a 2-pounder that comes off. He was throwing a crankbait, and it came off like halfway to the boat. And I actually threw out there with one of these J-Town tackle football jigs, and I caught my third keeper, on this black and blue jig, just thrown out on that ledge. And so that fish put me up to a little over 10 pounds, almost 11 pounds. And that was the only other bite I got the rest of the day. So actually, when we got back, I didn't know, how that was going to do. I mean, I had 10 pounds and 3 fish, but usually you're going to get a check if, you catch, at least 10 pounds as a co-angler. So get back in, weigh in. Actually, was sitting in third place when I weighed in, but ended up finishing that tournament in fifth place. And I brought back some nice hardware here to Missouri from Tennessee. So this is gonna go into my collection, and I always like getting these trophies. The money's good, and but the money doesn't last very long. These trophies, they always last. So this is pretty cool. So this is gonna go to my collection. But so I got done down in Tennessee. Left there about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then actually drove straight to Lake of the Ozarks because I was going to be fishing the jerkbait only tournament that was this past Sunday down there. And so that's about a 7-hour drive from Tennessee, because you got to go through St. Louis and head down 70 and then go down 54. And I had really no intent of fishing the jerkbait only tournament because right now I don't have a boat. But earlier this week, Ryan Jordan reached out to me on Facebook, and he said, hey, what do you got going on Sunday? And I said, well, I'm going to be coming back from this BFL on Saturday down in Tennessee. He said, well, you come down here to Lake of the Ozarks Sunday. He said, I got a 15-year-old neighbor that wants to fish this tournament. I'm going to be fishing the tournament out of another boat, but you can borrow my boat and fish the tournament. So I said, well, I was trying to think, especially with daylight savings, how I was going to make that work, because it's such a long drive, from Tennessee down. But I don't know, when someone puts an opportunity like that in front of you, it's hard not to take it. So I said, all right, let's do it. So ended up getting down to Lake of the Ozarks at about 2 a.m. Saturday night after driving about 1,200 miles, and got about 3 hours of sleep, and signed up, got going, and so the weather was kind of funky on Saturday. There was a lot of cloud cover in the morning, so what I did is I actually made a run to the Glaze. I figured most of the people that were fishing the tournament were probably going to be, down towards the dam or, the gravel area. But what I did is I started off and made a run to the Glaze, because I figured, if I could have the Glaze kind of to myself and, get a couple bites down there, might actually do pretty good. So we went down to the Glaze there, and for the first, 2 hours, I only caught one fish. I caught, a little 16-inch keeper, and we stayed down there in the Glaze till about 9:30 or something, and it just wasn't really happening. So I had some spots and that I wanted to hit up towards the dam. So then I made a 180 and ran all the way up to the dam, and we fished a bunch of the coves up there towards the dam. Got a couple jerkbait spots up there, and caught a couple shorts up there. Actually hit one bank that clued me in on what to do the rest of the day. It was just a little pea gravel bank that had a little channel swing on it, and a couple little brush piles down there, and ended up catching 4 or 5 fish off this bank. And so then I got the idea in my mind I was going to make a run up into the Gravois, to go hit this one bank that I know that's got a little pea gravel with a little transition, some brush piles in it. So when we pulled up into that spot in the gravel, I actually caught like back-to-back 4-pound fish. One was a little over 4, the other one was like almost 4 pounds. It was like really good fish. But these fish were back-to-back on the same dock off of brush piles. And what I was doing was I was throwing a megabass jerkbait, on one of these Razr Rods here with 8-pound test, vicious fluorocarbon. Like I said, this week I put out a video to give you guys some tips on jerkbait fishing, and ended up catching all my fish throwing megabass jerkbait on 8-pound line on this 7-foot medium action Razr rod, which is an awesome rod for throwing jerkbaits because it's got a fast action, but it's got a real soft tip, which is really good for when you hook up with these fish so you don't pull the hooks out. And so it was awesome because I only had one fish at like noon. It wasn't going to give up. Just had to hit the right spot, so we pulled it on the stock. Now I had like 3 fish for pretty good weight, but after the catching, those 2 good fish off that one dock, I said, okay, I got another spot, that's up here in the gravel and very similar. So we pulled in there and I caught 2 shorts and then caught another keeper, back to back up there. And so, but it was down to the wire. I mean, I caught my last fish probably at, 2:10 or something, and we had to weigh in at 3 o'clock. And was able to run 2 more spots, which I caught a short on one of them. I think if I would have had, an extra half hour or so, probably caught another one because finally figured out what the pattern was. Without practicing, I was kind of struggling to get on the right thing, but ended up catching 4 fish for a little over 12 pounds. Well, actually 12 pounds. 12:01 won the tournament, but I don't know, it just kind of sucks to be that close. I had one other keeper, questionable keeper on in the morning. I had about a 14 or so inch spotted bass. I don't know if he would have quite gone 15 inches, but he got off it like the boat. Just didn't get the net on him, quick enough, and fish got off. So, you're always going to have stuff like that happens, but, it was, overall, I can't complain about the weekend. I mean, it was truly awesome to be able to go all the way down to Tennessee, get 5th place in the BFL down there in a lake I've never fished before, and then to turn right back around and go down the Lake of the Ozarks and get 2nd place in an open only jerkbait only tournament. But jerkbait fishing, that's something that I really like to do. I think it's one of my strengths. I don't think I'm the world's best jerkbait fisherman, but at the same time, I enjoy fishing jerkbaits. So a little bit more on how I was fishing this jerkbait. Down at Lake of the Ozarks, what I ended up catching my fish doing, like the cadence and the retrieve, is I would throw it out there and I'd reel it down and I'd give it 2 quick snaps of the rod, just 2 quick downward snaps, and they were pretty violent, and I just let it sit there for 4 seconds, and that's the cadence that I caught all my fish doing. And it's really important to pay attention to things like that because I caught one in the morning doing it and tried a bunch of different stuff. But when I caught those 2 big ones, that's exactly what I was doing, and did the same thing to catch that last one. And I think what was going on was, those fish at Lake of the Ozarks have been kind of in a funk and they haven't been really eating like they should be this time of the year. So taking that jerkbait and giving it those 2 quick snaps triggers those fish into biting. It's a reactionary bite. I mean, honestly, I think the way the day was going down at Lake of the Ozarks on Sunday, I probably could have caught a lot more fish, if I would have been able to throw a crankbait like I normally like to do this time of the year. But, because, I get those reactionary bites, but for whatever reason, that was the retrieve that they wanted on the jerkbait. And I think if you guys are getting out in the next couple of days here, I think the fishing is going to get better. I mean, I think we got a couple more weeks to go before it's going to explode, but it's getting there. I mean, I think by the end of this week, on in the next week, you're going to really see some fish getting caught if, as long as the temperatures come up. But, yeah, so overall good weekend. Can't complain. This weekend I've got the BFL coming up down at Table Rock. I'm excited to get down to Table Rock. I've had some really good tournaments down there. 2 years ago, got 10th in the BFL down there, so I'm looking forward to that. Table Rock's one of those lakes you just don't know sometimes though, because the fish, they move around a lot and they do with that clear water, and they're kind of funky. So one day you might catch them somewhere and the next day they're not there, they move on. So I think it's going to be a tough tournament still, but looking forward to that. And then Sunday I'm fishing the Mr. Bass tournament on Greer's Ferry down in Arkansas. And Greer's Ferry is another good lake for the pre-spawn bite. Last year I fished the BFL there and got 7th, and I think it's going to be a little off this year because of the weather, but I still think there's going to be a lot of fish caught. Greer's Ferry is one of those lakes that just has a ton of fish in it. It's got a ton of smallmouth in it. If you've never been down to Greer's Ferry, you need to check it out. You're going to catch 20 to 30, 13 to 14 inch smallmouth when the bite's on. And you can catch them cranking, you can catch them on a Ned rig, Alabama rig, jerkbaits. It's an awesome lake down there. Like I said, I had a good draw last year. Drew a guy that lives pretty close to the lake, so I mean we were around fish all day, but from what I saw, there's just a ton of fish in that lake. There was, I think, 80 limits or so caught on the co-angler side. So that just, speaks to, what kind of fishery that lake is. So excited to be getting down the Greers this weekend. Like I said, I don't know, this year, the weather's been kind of funky, so I don't exactly know what to expect down there at Greers. So I don't know, we're just gonna see what happens this weekend. But yeah. So that's kind of the things that I use to catch my fish over the weekend. Like I said, I had a blast. Until next time, guys, take it easy.